How's it going, everyone? This is Tyler Dunn here with Jim Monis for another episode of the Go Along podcast. And right from the jump, Jim, we're joined by Western New York's finest, Chris Manhertz. Chris, how in the hell are you?
I am great. How you guys doing?
Doing good here at Hamburg Brewery. We're drinking a couple Louis IPAs, some Hoptimoniums, and you've got a Gatorade. That's what happens when, you sign a contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can't be throwing back beers with us bums, right?
I was really hoping Chris was going to pull up like a bottle of something.
Some cab or something?
Something. Just to show me. I thought I taught you well at Tempo how to drink wine.
I know. Good times, though.
Hey, so Chris, I just want to say congrats. And obviously we're going to tell people this story, how this all came about. But, the reason you get into scouting sometimes you don't understand it. And when something like you comes along and this happens, this is what scouting's all about. And yet, obviously it didn't work out with the Buffalo Bills, and we'll talk about that. But for people to understand, you never played high school football. And, I'm sitting there, I get a phone call from my friend who was an assistant coach at Rider University for basketball. His name was Mike Witkowski. We grew up together in Palmyra, Pennsylvania. Anyway, Mike sends me a text, and here's his scouting report on you as a basketball player. He said, bull in a china shop, right? That's how he described you as a player. But he said, you were so tough, so driven. You were just a force to be reckoned with. And he said, I don't know if he wants to play football, but he had that mentality. So, okay. I knew Mike. I was like, all right, I kind of checked in on trying to pull you up on the internet. I was like, okay, he seems like, seems he has got that build for a tight end. Then Russ Brandon got a call from your head coach saying that you might have been maybe interested in just seeing if it was, if there was a chance.
Right.
So Russ came into my office and got the call from Coach Barron, and I had just got the call from my friend, and we were like, shit, that's two people now. Let's get it done. So we call you up. And this is why I give you so much credit, but we bring you into the facility. I'll never forget this, just to give you a quick, hey, let's run a 40 with Chris. And I know basketball players, you've never run a 40 in your life.
Nothing.
Like the stance, you didn't even know how to get down. That's how I remember. And we didn't care because we're like, hey, he doesn't know.
Right.
Hey, you run the 40, we put you through some drills, and we just say basically to Chris, hey, keep working. We saw some good things, and we knew he obviously has ability. We said, hey, let's just give it some time, work on some things. And then the long story short part of this is Chris is so driven that he works out, trains. So we go to Williamsville. It's an indoor facility, and I don't remember the name of it. Do you remember, Chris?
Forget the name.
I forget too, and I wanted to look. I couldn't remember. It was small. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't have a lot of room. And we just wanted to see you run routes, catch the ball a little bit, and you did fine. You did everything. We're just like, hey, he's driven. Like, he wants this. So, we signed him in the off season, so Chris isn't really making much money or anything. And he has to still earn his spot on the roster. So
2014.
This is 14, 15.
15, I believe.
15. I think it is the 15 year. I think when you came to preseason with us, in the NFL preseason, I think it was 15.
Right.
Football references.
Yeah, it was 15.
Maybe. Okay.
I think you guys worked me out.
In 14.
guys worked me out in 14.
Agreed.
And then after that season, December, I signed.
Exactly. And this is where scouting is really interesting and why other teams scout everybody's rosters. But, Chris had a bunch of, you never were healthy with us and didn't really have a fair shot to really show. We had a new coaching staff. We had just gotten Rex in. And they just weren't willing to give you time to develop, I don't think. That's personally, I know that for a fact. So that was a hard one because Chris, I tell everybody, the first time you blocked somebody was Mario Williams. And I'll never forget, you come off the ball locked on and kind of drove him a little bit. And we all looked at each other like, who is this guy? Like, he's never played football. He just blocked Mario. And most guys just get jerked down the ground, because you don't know the technique. Yeah, you know how it is now.
Right.
Anyway, that didn't happen. So we're like, hey, there's something natural here with Chris. Well, it didn't work out. We had to cut him for last cuts. Terry Fontenot, who was the director of pro scouting for the Saints, is now the GM in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
was part of the Saints scouting staff that saw you in the preseason, like what they saw, bring you in. And this is where you're going to have to pick up the story a little bit, Chris. Like once you were in New Orleans, this is what I want to hear about because I used to work there and they're great guys. The GM, Coach Payton, Terry Fontenot, all those guys. Did you feel like you could make it there? Like when you were with the Saints, were you like, oh, I can learn from these guys. Like they want to work with me.
100%.
That's awesome.
To the point where after that workout, when I worked out with the Saints in the middle of their training camp, Coach Payton told me straight up, we're probably going to sign you to the practice squad. We're not going to play you during the preseason.
Yep.
So he told me that off jump, like right after the workout, after what he saw. So I was like, well, I kind of packed my bags thinking I was coming back to Buffalo.
Right.
I didn't come back to Buffalo until a couple of weeks, until like an off day or something to move out my Elmwood apartment. So it happened so quick. It happened so quick. And I was like, wow, damn.
So for people who don't know too, I mean, Chris played college basketball here at Canisius. Got your numbers right here, Chris. You finished your career 4th in school history, 789 rebounds, led the team in rebounding 3 straight years. And you think of that basketball to football transition and you think, athletic, not really wanting to get physical, not wanting to get down and dirty, finesse. Are they going to want to block? And in your story, like you want to get in there and mess some people up, right? Like that, you're that other end of the spectrum, which is just awesome to see.
Right. I was initially thinking the opposite of what you just said. I'm like, all right, I'm a basketball player. I'm about to be Jimmy Graham or something. I'm going to be running up the seams. I'm going to be catching deep balls. I'm going to be doing the whole 9. And then, you get there and you're like, okay, this is not necessarily how it works, especially if you're not number 1 or number 2 guy. You're all the way on the bottom of that depth chart. So for me, it was more so, okay, what do I need to do to see the field? Like, I have to do something to at least see the field, whether it be special teams or whether it be blocking. That was my mentality at that point. So once a door kind of opened up in terms of me taking pride in my ability to block, I'm like, okay, I'm willing to do something that other guys aren't willing to do. So I might as well embrace this and just, see how far it goes.
What's fascinating though, it's like, playing football myself at a young age, like I got in 3rd grade, you get into Pee Wee football, and there's always that moment where you realize if this is for me or not, right? You're in the hitting drills, you're doing the Oklahoma drill, bull in the ring, all this stuff. It kind of it's a war of attrition. It weeds out the weak, and it's hard in high school for somebody to say, "Oh, I'm going to play football," and they get out there, they do a couple hitting drills, and their ass is going home, and they ain't coming back. But how do you just pick this sport up in the NFL and with the toughest people on the planet?
Against Mario Williams, Cam Jordan. Like you go to teams that have you're blocking the best defensive ends in the NFL. I mean, I agree with Tyler, Chris. Like you just felt like, hey, did you just feel like, hey, I know I can be a productive blocker. Like I know I can do that, and just try to really fine tune that part of your game.
Yes. And once I kind of just kept doing it over and over again and being like, at that time, semi-successful in terms of just, holding my ground, if you will.
Right.
Right. Once I saw that, I'm like, okay, you develop a little bit more confidence, and then, you kind of tell yourself like, okay, I could really, go toe to toe with some of these guys, and then, that how that goes. It just grows into more confidence, and then you just, you just keep going.
This is what I don't think people really understand, and I want to hear this from Chris. But to me, wasn't it like learning a foreign language when you had to learn? And I know we talked about this before, but the terminology in football is insane if you haven't been around it. And, I can't imagine how much time you must have spent studying playbooks and I know how Coach Payton is, but it's in and out, and you're dealing with high level offensive football. How much time did you have to spend in the playbook?
A whole lot more time than I ever spent on anything in school. It was equally as challenging because I had to kind of learn how to study a playbook, learn how to study the game of football. And those things I weren't really, privy to at the time. So, I mean, I give a lot of credit to some mentors earlier along my career, like sharing the same room with Ben Watson at the time and just watching him and just sitting back and, the amount of time he spent just studying how to study film. I didn't know how to do any of that.
No.
You know, I thought it was just watching tape. You know, until you just, you know, get a gist of studying tendencies, studying guys, footwork, every little detail. And once I figured out a system for myself in order to retain information and study the game, it just started clicking.
When did you realize that this could be your life, your career? I mean, because I'd imagine at first it's like, why not? Let's just give this a shot. Like, when did you really know, all right, I'm onto something. I do something that other tight ends aren't willing to do.
I think it was when I made my first 53-man roster that year after. And that was a pretty kind of emotional moment for me, just sitting back and thinking like, man, I started, you know, at one place a year and a half ago, and now I'm here. So it was one of those things where it just started to just come full circle for me, and you know, I just ran with it. You know, I just figured out a way. I'm like, okay, at this point, I kind of reset the bar for myself. The first year was practice squad, and then after that, I made the 53-man roster. So at the time when that happened, I just kind of that's my standard, you know. So I didn't want to go back to, you know, regress and go back to the practice squad. So I just figured out a way to make it work.
How did you, and this, you know, in Buffalo, like we were talking about, you kept having like little injuries that were, when I say little, they weren't really little because they were preventing you from really doing, you know, doing what you wanted to do with your, I think it was with your foot and
Yeah.
some other things. Did that get better the more you played? Like, did you learn more how to take care of, or like, was it anything you could do to take care of yourself, or did you stay pretty injury free after Buffalo?
Yeah, I did. Honestly, I really did. For a few years until I broke my foot maybe 3 years ago, but it wasn't anything that made me or allowed me to miss any time. But yeah, I think that was one of the more, I guess, humbling moments in knowing that, okay, there's some injuries and some things you just can't control.
Can't do it. Yeah.
But what you can control is, you know, what you put in your body, how you take care of your body, you know, getting soft tissue treatment, doing the whole nine. And again, like I credit that to the mentors that I had, and just seeing that I'm like, somebody like Ben Watson, you're like, okay, how were you able to play this long? Like, what did you?
Exactly.
So he kind of, you know, showed me the blueprint in a way.
It is incredible with Ben Watson. I mean, how many players just say he helped them in their career? At some point, he helped me. I read his dad playbook book. Did you read that, Jim?
I remember you talking. I forgot until you just said it.
It's
Talking about this book.
There it is. You got it right there. The new dad's playbook. It's the perfect book to read in like a week for that crash course on how to be a dad. Like Ben Watson, you know. Did you read it then, Chris? Are you a dad?
No, I'll be a dad in July, so I kind of read it.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome, man.
Yep. Got a baby boy on the way.
God. So what's life like for you right now? I mean, you signed this contract with a team on the absolute rise. I mean, the Jaguars have got to be one of the most fascinating teams in the league. You're going to be a dad. I mean, do you just kind of feel like you're on cloud nine?
Yeah, I feel like everything is just, you know, happening when it's supposed to. I had to take a moment and just realize how blessed I am, you know, in order to be in just this space, this position in life, you know, after a pandemic and the whole nine. I'm like, man.
Chris, when you visited with Jacksonville, I'm curious to know, because Urban Meyer, you know, he's known for obviously the receiving tight ends. What did they talk to you about, like, for your vision and your role? Coach Payton always talked about having a vision for a player with the Saints when I worked there. And I know he had a vision for you. Carolina did. Jacksonville, do they have a clear vision for you?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Urban Meyer told me, you know, one of the first things that he told me when I met him the other day is that he doesn't believe in the term blocking tight end.
Love it.
So he doesn't like or believe in boxing yourself in and limiting yourself to being capable of doing that little part. And, you know, as a tight end, I love to hear that, because now you could, I at least feel like I could get a legitimate opportunity to do other things that I've never done before.
Man, what is Urban Meyer like? You know, your first impression. You know, where's his head at taking over this Jaguars team? And this is a challenge that, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people think these college coaches can't make this transition. What kind of vibe do you get in Jacksonville so far?
I have a feeling that, just meeting him after that first time and speaking to people around the building, and what they said about him, um, I guess it has taken effect already that he's kind of resetting the culture there, because it's kind of a fresh start for everybody. So having somebody like him come in with the success that he's had, and obviously there's a stigma associated with, college coaches playing on or coaching on the NFL level. But the impression I got from him, man, is that he's literally, everything is structure, everything is sports science, taking care of your body. He's giving players every single resource for them to be successful. So I think that kind of set the tone and the culture for everybody coming in, and the new people in the organization as well.
Because you've been around for a few of these, transitions, right? I mean, you've been in the NFL now for 8 years, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen new coaches come in. You've heard the term culture and foundation, and I mean, what does it really look like? Or I guess it's pretty early on there in Jacksonville, but day to day when he's trying to like do this and make it work in the NFL, what kind of stuff is he really doing this early on?
I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I only met Urban, maybe had a 30-minute conversation with him, but I guess the vibe that I got from him, it just gave off it's very exciting just to know the plans he has, not only for me and the offense and the people that he's bringing in. So you could judge it based on that, and you could tell where things are headed at least.
Chris, it's going to be funny for you because you've been around Drew Brees, you've been around Cam Newton. We're talking about, you've been around, obviously both their styles of quarterbacking is different, but they're both champions. They're both highest level, the commitment to the team and what it takes to be a great quarterback. You're about to see that with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we all know it's going to happen, but it's going to be really interesting for you to pay attention to see how Trevor's studying every day and working every day, because you've been around the best. And
Right.
you're going to be, it's funny, you're going to be able to help him out at some point. If you're like, hey, man, look, I know what it takes. And I was around Breeze when I worked for the Saints. I wasn't around Cam Newton, but everything I heard about Cam Newton was he did take football seriously as far as studying the game, his passion, his work ethic, his toughness. And Trevor Lawrence, like, it's going to be really cool for you to now almost be in a leadership role where, hey, Trevor, like, don't worry about it. You're going to have bad days, good days, but you can't waver from your work ethic and first guy in the building, last guy out. And what was it? I mean, do you ever sit back and just smile, think you would play with Breeze and Cam Newton? Like,
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day when I was reflecting a little bit, and I'm like, man, I really came across a lot of like studs, just like you said, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, and Drew Brees, both of them for that matter. Quarterbacks, they're the hardest working people in the building, or at least they should be the hardest working people.
there it is, the great ones,
Right.
Yep.
And you hear that, but when you see it up close in person, you're like, damn, these guys don't go home. I remember going to New Orleans and, coming in, and Drew Brees is in there at 5:30. I'm like, well, I'm just getting in at 5:30 to get treatment. How long was he really here?
Mm-hmm.
So the attention to detail for them is just.
And he used to, he can run meetings. Like Breeze could run meetings. I mean, that was something I seen before when I worked there. I don't know if he still was when you were there, but he obviously he holds every player on that offense accountable.
And that's exactly what you need in a leader. Sometimes, especially as a young guy, you may not want that, or you might have something to say about that. But those are the type of, I guess, people that really you take a look at and see, okay, this is why they were so successful in what they were doing. So I guess there's reasoning behind everything when it comes to that.
And Chris, just back to you, like not playing football growing up as a kid and latching on as a grown ass man in the NFL. Like where did that temperament come from then for you to be that nasty guy in the trenches, willing to take on Mario Williams, willing to take on D lineman? I mean, where in your past, like what were you able to kind of tap into to become this mean SOB in the trenches when he didn't even play growing up?
I think it just started with me just trying to, not only prove myself right and the people that believed in me, like Jim or other guys that legitimately tried to give me a chance. But for me, it was just like I just have to see the field, and then once I saw the field, I'm like, I have to stay here. And it might sound pretty simple, but that has always been my mentality.
Well, Chris, we talk on this show a lot of times about scouting, and pro days are going on right now, and all these guys are doing all their track stuff. And the only thing I really care about, and I learned this the older I got scouting, is what's in that guy's heart and how tough are they. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think getting to know you, when we were trying to get this done in Buffalo, I just was like, you had this like unwavering, you weren't scared to try. You weren't afraid to try. You never said, well, I don't know if I can learn that, or I don't know if that never came out of your mouth. It was simply, yeah, let me try. What do I have to do? I just want to try. I want to try. And I just feel like not enough young guys understand that if you have toughness and that desire and that work ethic that we were talking about, it can overtake some natural talent sometimes in a sport that, like you were getting to learn to play.
Right. I remember that first injury I had, or second injury I had in training camp that put me out, my rib injury. And I was on the sideline watching the preseason game. And that was my legit first time being on the sideline watching a whole collision like live.
Yeah.
And I remember that doubt coming in my mind when, physical collisions almost usually happen on the sideline a lot of times.
Right.
And I'm looking at that, I'm like, man, all right, this is what I'm signing up for. Ain't no turning back now, So I think part of that is just me, like I said, just, starting something and doing whatever I need to do to finish.
I think it was a career high 6 catches last year. So are there times when you're like, man, give me the ball? Like, just throw me a bone once in a while. Like, I mean, I'm in here, you're kicking ass. Come on, let's go.
Oh, of course. But that obviously that's never up to me. That's up to the play caller and the play in and of itself and how I'm utilized. So for me, again, it was all right. It was like, okay, this is what it is. All right, let me make the most of this. Or, if they want me to go out there and be primarily a blocker or a pass blocker, let me just try to be the best at it. Let me try to do it better than everybody in that tight end room.
Where do you get joy then? Like, is there a memorable hit pancake block that you treasure to this day? Like, what really scratches that competitive itch game to game for you?
I think it's humbling, and at the same time, it allows you to feel good when the guys you block all game come up to you after the game and say you did a good job or hell of a job or whatever, like things like that respect amongst my peers and my opponents, like that means a lot to me.
Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you've definitely blocked for some great backs that have put up some big time numbers. I'm guessing that's what you're getting at there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, you were trained not to complain about not getting the ball, because you probably wanted the ball more when you were playing at Canisius, and they just wanted you to see. I know you had to keep your mouth shut and go rebound, block shots, get your 4 fouls, don't foul out.
I was telling Coach Barron, I was speaking to Coach Barron the other day, and we brought that up, and it was almost like a recurring theme. It's just in another sport. And if you embrace that role that you have, don't be surprised with what doors it might open. So it's kind of synonymous with the football and the role that I had in embracing that role. And, it kind of proved to me and showed me that, you just do your job and do it very well. It'll open up more options for you, more than you ever know.
Like a contract with Jacksonville. I mean, what did you splurge yet? Did you get anything?
No.
Where's your wife from?
My wife is originally from Seattle.
Seattle?
Yeah. My wife is from Seattle, born in Seattle, raised in Virginia, and her dad is Hall of Famer Kenny Easley. So I'm like the second best football player in the family.
Hey,
didn't even know that. Holy cow!
You're talking about I've been around a lot of old
I
timers when
saw the tape.
Kenny Easley. You won't find anybody say anything but one of the nastiest safeties ever to play.
That's what I heard.
That's crazy, man. You guys better have about 3 or 4 kids. They got a shot. They got a shot.
I think my baby got a jersey on inside there.
Do you have like a game plan, like for training camp? Like when this goes down, I mean, that's right when your life is going to be chaotic, right? Like,
Oh man, I didn't even start thinking about that yet. But
I'm sorry.
No, it's life ain't stopping, you know.
Chris, how frustrating or difficult was this year with the COVID? Was it pretty much business as usual for you guys? Did you just kind of get into the routine of it, or were you guys pretty much miserable? Like,
the biggest thing to get used to was just the new protocols that was
Yeah.
in place and masking and the social distancing and
Yeah.
everything like that. But you know, once we got maybe a week or two just doing it, testing every day, it was just clockwork at that
part
point.
of
Yeah.
it.
man. So what's are you living in Jacksonville right now? Or are you back home? Like how?
No, I live in Charlotte. I have a home in Charlotte.
Gotcha.
Charlotte's home, but eventually I'm gonna probably next week head down to Jacksonville.
That's what people don't understand, Chris. Like, you know, they see, you know, I told Tyler about this, but you guys sign these contracts, but your life gets flipped upside down. I mean, you're dealing with, you know, family and housing and kids, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot.
In a short period of time.
Short period of time, because in about, I'm guessing you guys are going to start up OTAs here in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to care about where you're living, how your
As
wife's
long as
doing.
you're there.
That's
you know,
it. That's it.
As long as you're there.
As long as you're there.
So, at least, I guess, given the circumstances, at least I have a couple weeks to figure out that stuff as
True
far as
point.
living and getting situated out there. But you know, it happened to me halfway through the season when the Saints cut me and I got claimed off waivers in Carolina. You know, turnaround was ridiculously quick. So you know, it was just one of those things.
Any advice out there, Chris? I mean, like how you kind of pulled off something that you just don't see in football. You don't see this. You don't see guys just get an opportunity in the NFL, take advantage of it if they're not playing, stick. You know, if you were to give advice to anybody out there that has that crazy thought in the back of their head that it could be a possibility to do what you did, what would you say?
I think it's one, believe in yourself, and two, surround yourself with as many good people or good mentors or well-connected people as you can, because that'll take you a long way. Those are my two biggest takeaways in this whole journey, because I've had a lot of people that believed in me, like Jim or other coaches that just gave me a shot. For me, it was like I have to make them feel good about, you know, their decision and giving me this shot. So that was motivation for me.
Best chicken wings in Buffalo. Where'd
Coles.
you go?
Oh, I like that.
You say Coles?
Coles, that's non-negotiable. It's Coles.
I didn't even know they made chicken wings at Coles.
Kidding me?
I thought it was a brunch spot where you get a Bloody Mary and
go try it.
Nurse a
Give it a
hangover.
shot.
Okay.
And all right, next question, Chris. When we were hanging out that one night at Tempo, how annoying was I talking about basketball with you, or was it good? Was it good talk? Or did I cross the line?
That was good talk.
It was good talk, right? Remember, we were getting into it with hoops and.
Oh yeah, it was good talk. I mean, we had the good talk. We had a little bit of booze. Like it was fine.
That was that's where I always tell. That's where it all started. Like it was just one of those things. Where it was just to sit there and think this is happening right now, and then look back on that night at Tempo, which they do have maybe the best steak.
Oh, the best ribeye.
The best ribeye I've ever had. But now we got to try Cole's wings. Chris put us onto something.
Just give it a shot.
All right, Chris, do you even ever come? Do you have any reason to come back to the area?
I have a brother that lives in Toronto, and just if there's a Canisius game or something. Last time I've been there was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean it's hard now with your schedule and everything.
Yeah.
Who's do you have an NBA team? Do you have a favorite player? Like, are you connected to that sport in any way still?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't even watch. I don't really watch basketball as much.
Yeah,
I really
Amazing.
don't.
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many NFL players who like say that they're good at playing football, but they love basketball more. Like the love is with basketball. I mean, I was kind of like that way growing up. I loved playing basketball, even though our football team was a little better. There's something about the game, the creativity. It's just fun. And then I don't know, but this to just be like, all right, well, screw that, go all in with football. It's not even in the back of your mind.
No, I mean I'll play it from time to time for therapeutic purposes. Just start shooting around like it's good therapy for me sometimes. But I don't really the level of interest compared to what it was before is it's low.
It's funny because as a scout, we love comparing football players sometimes to basketball players as far as like kind of what their role would be or their mentality. And I think it goes the same way. You hear basketball players and announcers like to compare them sometimes to a football player. The one thing you guys all have in common is every football and basketball player think they could be a rapper. And I've never met anybody that does it. For some reason, like I see all these guys try and it's just, but we always think
Cole Beasley's not bad.
Cole Beasley is secret, right? Like,
It's not bad.
but Chris, when you think of who would you compare Cam Newton to as a basketball player? Here's one I'll give you. Here's one I'm gonna give you. Just so you take a second here. What if I told you like a Russell Westbrook?
I was just gonna say that.
Really?
That's the first person that came to my
Man,
mind.
we always had that.
I swear.
We had that basketball. Okay, yeah. For some reason, Chris, they remind me they're similar to me. Like, I'm not talking about their pregame when they walk into the arenas because they have that in common. But they're tough and nonstop, like nonstop.
They just got that dog in them.
Dog.
That's what it is. They both have that dog in them. Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
What about you, Chris? What kind of player were you?
Oh, Anthony Mason.
Oh,
I'm going old school. I'm going old school. Anthony Mason.
I'll take that. I was one of those guys you love to have as a teammate, hate to play against. Just defended and rebounded.
That's a compliment. Yeah, I do mean that as a compliment. He was. That guy was. I mean,
Charlotte Hornet legend.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. We got to pour one out for
I like
Anthony.
that you said Charlotte Hornet.
Oh yeah.
Most people would say Knicks, but all right.
Right.
Chris, that was awesome, man. We can't thank you enough for spending a little time with us tonight, man. Congratulations.
Happy for you, Chris, man. This is pretty cool. I'm really excited to watch this year, especially with you're going to get a lot of coverage this year when you guys get the quarterback and Urban. Like, it's going to be a fun year for you.
We actually play Buffalo this year too.
Oh, where do you play at? Up here? Do you know yet?
No, I think it's at
down here.
I think it's a home game for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's going to be a fun year, a fun team. I mean, definitely. I don't know if there's a more interesting team than the Jaguars, really. I mean, with everything going on there. So we'll definitely stay in touch, Chris. And you said it, you're not a blocking tight end. So, 100 targets, 10 to 12 touchdowns. They heard it here first on the Go Along podcast.
You said it, not me.
That's right. Hey, make that roster, man. Just keep making those rosters, right?
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Hey, thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate you coming on, man.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Good seeing you, Chris.
See ya.
All right.
Bye.